Welcome back to the OC story. This is part 26, and we are picking up right where we left off. The hell did you just say? Darrow was shivering in Erie's hands, but he stood tall. My son. A breeze flung up around them as vast wings flapped, raising the blazing figure a little closer. I heard your calls, and I have found you. We have so much to discuss. Sit with me. Does he look like me? Darrow turned sightless eyes towards the prince. Is this real? Though, as he asked, something settled around his mind. Something was telling him to believe the familiar voice. Something was telling him he was safe. Erasmus looked from the figure to Darrow. I believe so. An answer to both questions. He reminds me of you in all the ways your mother did not. The pieces of you in her are not in him. I think he is telling the truth. The prince swallowed. Do you want to speak to him, my darling? Darrow nodded, though felt that really he had no choice. Slowly, Erasmus helped the assassin down from their high home until both pairs of feet reached the grassy clearing below. The glowing figure sat down on a log beside the fire, igniting it with a wave of sparkling fingers. Darrow took a tentative step closer, then another. Erasmus helped him all the way, care creasing every fragment of his body. He gave the stranger a glance, but spared little more. All his attention was fixed on Darrow, as he sat down carefully opposite the man. Would you like to have a moment alone? Darrow hesitated. Nothing I have to say to you is a secret, the glistening creature said. Your companions can remain at your side if you wish. No. The assassin gripped Erie's hand close. Just give us a minute, yeah? Then come back, please. He did not have to ask, not really. Erie smiled gently, brushed long blonde hair away from Darrow's face and kissed his cheek. Call if you need anything at all. Then he ushered Tinny over to the swing, where they sat together out of earshot. Darrow tried to catch his breath. He could hear the familiar voice starting to speak again. Well then, here we are. But the assassin could not focus. His eyes were filled with the past, his hands blood-splattered, his face in tatters, Maximus screaming, a shelf full of vials sat ready for his choice. Then he was running, afraid and desperate. You cannot see me, can you, my son? Feet pounded through puddles, through mud, through dirt and rain and grime, and... My son, allow me to help you. Heat flooded Darrow's mind. It fluttered like a bird driving back a storm, with a clutch of warm hands at his temple. Darrow's thoughts cleared. The whirl of memory was faded to the farthest corner, niggling now instead of a roar. Bright blue eyes finally looked up and saw for the first time in weeks. That is better. The figure standing before him was tall and bathed in a glowing light. It rose from his skin, it gleamed from his soul. Gold and silver-streaked wings folded gently behind him as he tilted his head and studied the man sat in his gaze. You have questions. The creature nodded. I shall answer every one of them. You need only ask. Stepping back, he sat down once more on the log opposite Darrow, waiting. What are you? Darrow choked. I am one of a collection of beings who watch over the worlds. We observe, but the most important thing is we remember. We remember everything. We keep the dead living in memory. We harbour lessons and knowledge. We cherish secrets and the twisting, turning paths of all lives, fates and judgments, promises and wishes. All are watched over by our number. So you decide what happens? Ah, no. No, you misunderstand me. We are observers only. We watch, we listen, we remember every tale, but we do not interfere or play with the pieces. Ours is to see, to bear witness as time unfolds, occasionally walking with those who experience it as normal, but not often. And you're what? An angel? Some have called us such, yes. The figure smiled a small chuckle. But we are merely celestial, born of the starlight, not of the earth. Sounds pretty angely to me. Darrow rubbed his brow, trying to think. Well, if you wish to call yourself an angel, you may. The celestial bowed his head. Some have donned such names to make it easier to explain their existence when amongst mortals. It is up to you, my son, however you prefer to express. Wait! Too many ideas, thoughts, terrifying realizations hitting all at once. He could not contain them. Darrow waved a hand, breathing hard. Wait, hold up. So that's you. I ain't some celestial angel thing, though. Right? Right? You have been falling into memory for a long time, haven't you? What? You have been consumed by it, reliving moments you may have thought long forgotten, moments you wish to forget, moments you cherish, and some moments you do not recognize. You have been unable to shake them away. You have lost sight of the present, haven't you? How do you know? Your blood has been calling to me, my son. Our blood, consecrated high among the stars and linked together into the eternity of existence. You have been seeking me as I have been seeking you. But I haven't. Yes, you have. Warm hands cupped Darrow's own as the pair sat closer together. My son, you have been screaming out for me for years. I have finally been able to answer that call. Here I am, and I am going to help you. Can you make it stop? I can teach you how to organize your mind, to tame it, to bring it to heal. In time, it shall become your greatest strength. You shall surpass time, flipping through the past and future like the pages in a book. But can you make it stop? The visions you see? Yeah. They never stop, my son. Darrow felt his chest tighten, a bob rising in his throat. Do not fear the sight of ages. The celestial figure pulsed a slow flicker of warmth through their joined hands. It settled the knot in Darrow's chest. As I say, it is our greatest gift, our greatest joy. We bear witness to everything, in every time and direction. We do not witness events in sequence, but as a ball of string, tangles of moments, tumbling over and over each other. Once you have learned to hone your sight, you shall see it all. You can witness death and every moment of their life simultaneously. We exist outside of time, my son, stepping through history in blinks of an eye. I can teach you to calm the flood, to focus on where you wish to be and engage with only that. The rest is still there, eager at the corners of your mind, but we can choose when to indulge and what to see. This is in your blood, my son. You have embraced it. No, I never. Darrow glanced over to Eerie and Tinny swinging gently back and forth. Tinny smiled at him. Eerie blew a soft kiss on the wind. I never embraced this, Darrow insisted. I don't want it. I can't. Turning back to his father, pale eyes overbright, he whispered, I don't understand. Something softened in the Celestial's face. Think back, he encouraged. Have you ever experienced a feeling you could not explain? Something warning you to run or encouraging you to stay? A moment where you felt something so strongly without any reason, but you heeded it because you knew somehow that you could trust it. Of course, the assassin did not need to think for long. Several memories came flocking to the front of his mind, and for a while he was back in them, lost from the present as he remembered sitting in the dark, ready to drink from the vial he had chosen. But something dragged at his soul and implored him not to do it. So he ran. Then he was back still further, earlier that same night, scampering across rooftops when he had looked down. For nothing at all. He had looked down and he had seen Erasmus. He had gone to him, he had saved him from nothing at all. He had acted for a memory he did not even possess yet. Have you ever been afraid beyond measure? His father's voice came low and slow, gentle in the throng of memory. Driven half mad by a fear ravaging you from an experience you have yet to live. Look at me when I'm speaking to you! That memory came clearest of all now, and at last it made some semblance of sense. Darrow remembered falling back onto the carriage floor, mind flooded with pain and terror, but no reason why. Echoes of voices, screaming words he had yet to hear. He remembered Maximus gloating in the dark, deep under the ground, where he had been certain everything would end. Darrow shuddered, stuttering breath as the scene replayed all around him. It is you, my son. He tried to latch onto the words, to follow them, to let them lead him back to the present. Your blood has been showing you all your life. Somewhere in the midst of it all, you embraced it. I know you did. I never! Darrow shook his head, forcing the memories to subside. You chose your name, did you not? Darrow cast. My mother called me Darrow. You chose to complete your name. Yeah, I needed one, for work and stuff. Needed a name to use for contacts. Don't have no deep meaning or nothing, just a word you plucked out of the air? Well, yeah. The great wings flapped slightly as the figure sat back, eyeing his son. You chose it because you remember your true name. It has sat in your blood since birth, waiting for you. But my name's Darrow. The name you walk the mortal world with can be whatever you wish it to be. But your true name is singing in your veins, my son. The name the very stars call to you by. You are named Child of Raniels' light. In our tongue, your name is... But Darrow spoke before his father could. The realization thudded down around his soul, and all he could do was utter the very word he had heard surrounding him over and over again. Castelain. You are Castelain. His father was smiling, watching realization dawn like sunlight across his son's face. You are my child. I am Raniel, and I shall aid you through this. We have decades to hone your mind. Do not worry about that. In the meantime, your wings shall be breaking through, and if you wish, then I can teach you and help you how to... My what? Darrow stood up, so fast he nearly extinguished the fire. Darrow! Erasmus was off the swing, walking towards them, Tinny hot at his heels. The Celestial remained where he was, sitting on the log and waiting. Darrow backed away, panic rising harsh in his lungs. No way. No damned way. I'm not growing wings. No way in all the corners of hell. No chance. No. Erasmus reached him and took his hands. What is it? Oh, how he'd missed those dark brown eyes. Eerie. Darrow pulled him closer, enfolding the prince deep in his arms. Hands traced every part of the man he could reach, brushing through thick red hair, touching his skin, hearing that steady heartbeat. I can see you. He felt himself gulp down a tear as it threatened to take him over. Eerie. Erasmus held him tight, rubbing gentle circles into the assassin's back with his fingertips. I am here, he whispered. I am here. What is wrong, my darling? But Darrow could not speak. He held on to the beautiful man in his arms, and tried to ignore the racing memories trying to block out his view. My son has a great deal to comprehend. It is quite naturally causing him some distress. The Celestial waved a hand, inviting Tinny and Iri to sit down around the fire with him. Slowly, they all sat. Darrow kept Iri held firmly around the waist, unable to even think about letting go. Iri wrapped his own arm around the assassin in turn, soothing him as best he could. Tinny spoke first. What's happening to Uncle Darrow? Is he going to be all right? He is. I can assure you of that. The glowing light was cooler now, perhaps in an attempt to soothe. But what is wrong? Iri asked. Darrow, sweetheart, are you hurt? Darrow shook his head, but hissed a breath through his nose as he did so. A flare of stinging lit up his shoulders. Iri recognized it and shifted round to massage the assassin's back. Is it getting worse? Erasmus asked. Darrow gritted his teeth, but his father answered. I expect so. This part is usually the cause of most discomfort, but it shall be over soon. Over? Tinny blinked. What happens then? Apparently, I get wings. Darrow huffed a laugh. Iri paused, looking from him to the celestial figure. Wings? The prince stared. Really? You inhabit a world filled with winged creatures. Is it truly so hard to comprehend? I suppose that is true, but it is not a common feature for humans or elves. Well, my son is neither human nor elf. Tinny got up and moved to sit much closer to Darrow. What is he then? He is Castelain, a child of the Celestial, blood of the stars. Does that mean one day he'll look like you? The figure smiled. Similar, yes. Iri pressed his cheek to Darrow's, encouraging him to just breathe with every beat of their hearts. Tinny, seeming to take charge, understanding that her uncles needed a moment, continued her questioning. Can he still live here, or does he have to go and live in the stars with you? Well, the Celestial seemed bemused, but glad for the young girl's blunt forthrightness. Many of us choose to walk the world of mortals for a long time before retiring to the stars. We can return, of course, and often we will share a season or two of the world before we go back again. Castelain may do as he chooses. In fact, I would encourage him to remain here for a century or two while he gathers his bearings. Learn all that you can, my son, and decide who you are. Then, after an age of the world has turned, you may decide to stay or come away for a time. Wait, Erasmus spoke, mind racing. A century? You mean... Dark eyes met pale ones. My love, you shall outlive us all by many miles. He did not let the sorrow show in his voice. He would not add on to Darrow's plate, not now. Instead, he chose to smile, a hand reaching to brush the assassin's jaw. Oh, the things you shall see, sweetheart. Darrow, however, was enraptured by something else. The words, my love, echoed round and around in his soul. 1,000 memories had ignited before him, so many times, so many places. My love, and my love, and my love. He would never grow tired of hearing it. And now, rich beyond measure in that second of life, Darrow knew that he would hear those words again and again. He wrapped each moment yet to come in a wreath of petals and pushed them out of his thoughts. He would enjoy every single one. He did not wish to spoil them. Perhaps I shall let you be for a while. His father rose, hovering softly off the forest floor. Darrow got to his feet, taking a deep breath. Call to me. Wherever or whenever you are, I shall find you. Erasmus took Tinny's hand and the two stepped away, watching the Celestials say their goodbye. Darrow shivered. I just... It is a great deal all at once. I understand. His father nodded. You have so much time, though. Time to learn and time to grow. I shall visit again soon, but do call to me if ever you have questions. All right, sure, yeah, I'll. How? How do I call for you? The assassin frowned. Like, do I shout into the sky? Not exactly. His father laughed. Your blood can find me anywhere. Let it lead you. Trust it. With everything. If you are becoming crowded with moments in time, focus and let it guide you through. If you wish to see something, past, present, or future, let it light the way. And if you wish to call for me, allow it to show you how. Right. Darrow was utterly lost, but desperately wanted to return to bed and hug Eerie, so he simply nodded. Until we meet again, Castelain. The celestial figure was gone in a flash of brilliant light. Darrow turned, reaching for the other two as he strode towards them. They came at once, wrapping all together in a close embrace. Tinny squeezed Darrow hard. Darrow breathed in great lungfuls of Eerie's scent. It seemed stronger now, somehow. Can we just... he asked feebly. Tinny knew at once. Go back to bed for a bit? Darrow snorted a thrilled chuckle. How had he ever got so damned lucky? Come on then. Eerie was leading him towards the steps up into the trees. See you for lunch. Tinny kissed them both on the cheek, then skipped over to her own room. Their door closed, and Darrow threw himself onto the bed, grabbing Erasmus to drag him down too. Eerie. He could have cried. He could have screamed. But instead, he kissed the man deeply until they both had to stop to catch a breath. We will weather this, the prince promised at once. I do not care how, but we shall weather this. Darrow, my love, I promise you, no matter what... Eerie, I'm in love with you. It came out in a rush, a great tumble of words crashing all around the pair as they lay in the wake of what Darrow had just said. It had become so stunningly clear, with every memory from the past and the future. Eerie was there, and Darrow was happy. He had been drawn to the man without knowing why. The why came later, much later. His future had been calling to him like a beating drum, encouraging every second they could meet. He had never been so certain before. Erasmus was his heart and his soul. The assassin was so very much in love with him. How had he not seen it before? Or perhaps he had. Maybe he'd just been too scared to say it. Was he only saying it now because he had assurances? He'd caught snatches of the future. Was that cheating somehow, knowing that Eerie was plastered all over it? Did that mean he could admit to this great, roaring, burning feeling inside without any fear? Or did that future only exist because he had already said it? I am in love with you too. And there it was, a call keeping the assassin from spiraling away. Their future was set and entwined. Eerie knew it too, and he could not even see it. All the mortal man had to hold on to was hope, and the best part was, it was enough. Darrow began to cry. Oh no, no, sweetheart, are you... But Darrow kissed away any remnants of Eerie's sentence. They would weather it all. Wings and stars and time knotted up in strings, all of it. Because they had this. It was enough. And it was real. Thank you for listening if you made it all the way to the end of this episode, and as always, here is something for you guys to decide on in the comments. Shall we bring Maximus back? I feel like the guy needs to die, doesn't he, really? We sort of left him there. What do you reckon? Shall we bring him back and kill him off? I mean, I'm guessing most of you might say yes, but some of you might have different ideas, so let me know what you think. I'm sort of undecided, but also I kind of fancy the idea. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. As ever, thank you for listening, and thank you for bearing with me while I took some much needed time off to do IRL stuff. Also, fun fact, the working title, which may well end up being the proper title of this when it's written down into a book and an ebook and an audiobook, yeah, that is sort of in this episode. Both of the words in the title, hint hint, it's a 2-word title, they are in this episode and they are spoken in the same sentence, I think. So if you want to go and have a guess at that, feel free to have a guess in the comments down below, and I will post the actual working title. Why not? Next week, why not? Remind me if I forget. I will be uploading the next part of this next week, and we will be back to the traitors on Monday. See you very soon. Thanks for listening. Love you all, and don't forget to hydrate. Goodbye.